So yeah, we're very, as I said at the start, we're very fortunate to have Dan here today to share the story about planning analytics and what IBM are putting into the product. So over to you, Dan.
Okay, great, thanks. First of all, I could not be more excited to be touring with Cortell, as we have over 7,000 customers around the world. And last year, we had 387 business partners that worked with TM1, now called Planning Analytics, in our organization and our brand. And I can tell you that here in Australia, ANZ, Asia Pacific, Cortell is our #1 business partner. And of the 387, right, they're probably ranked, I think, in the top 4 or 5 in terms of business and collaboration that we work with. So you have an A+ business partner right here in Sydney. So in terms of me, introduction, I've been in this role for the past 4 years as the worldwide global TM1, now Planning Analytics sales leader. And that gives me the opportunity to work both in the business and on the business. What I mean by in the business is to spend time out in the field with our business partners, with our account teams, with our customers, really understanding what are the priorities when it comes to planning and forecasting and analysis. What matters to you and your business? And with that, I'm based out of my home in Cincinnati, Ohio. My IBM office is Chicago, but probably more than anything, it's on an airplane and being out in the field. We're in month number 9, finishing 9 of the year, and I have a little over 1.3 million kilometers flown on United Airlines so far this year. Those are actual miles or kilometers flown. So I'm averaging 130, 150,000 kilometers a month. And I wouldn't have it any other way because I find that I learn so much more about how our product is being used, what's the differentiation, what's not important to you all. And that allows me also to then, as I'm working in the business and learning, to be able to now go back and work on the business with our development team, what we call offering management, to make sure we've got the right functionality that's prioritized in the future releases of our software. So with that, one of the things that I really appreciated from talking to the line of business, the Office of Finance, the business users, is that it's not just about planning, right? And let's do a forecast. So it starts there. And so we have what's called, let's create that plan. But what's the next step? It's what happened as a result of the plan. And we have complementary reporting tools like Cognos Analytics that integrates with our planning analytics platform. And then, once we understand what happened, we can then ask the question, well, why did it happen? So we start to get some really good insight. And then ultimately, from a maturity curve standpoint, we can ask the question, what will happen next? And then ultimately, what should we do? And so we infuse not just the traditional types of forecasting, historical averages and rolling forecasts and things like those, but we also infuse predictive and prescriptive analytics and forecasting so that your system and you guys get smarter and smarter as you start to go through this planning and analysis and reporting cycle. So with that, since planning analytics is the core, what's really important, and you put this up in the top, it's like we're like a world-class athlete. And when it comes to, first of all, world-class, our market niche within the world of corporate performance management, enterprise performance management, is to support the enterprise. So it's not just a purpose-built planning solution for sales or for finance. you have the ability to have integrated planning across your entire organization. In one of the sessions earlier this week, well, someone said, well, what about on a micro basis? We want to plan for just a project or the potential for a project. And what would the outlook look like? Absolutely, right? It can be down at the very, very small group between 2 or 3 individuals, right? And that can expand and be integrated ultimately across your entire organization. So what we say by being an athlete is that we can be either on-premise or we can be in the cloud. So one of our customers is actually, largest customers in the world is actually here in Sydney. It's called Lend-Lease. And they have in their top 8 strategic initiatives, one of, I think it's like number 3, is to be cloud first with systems and applications like planning and reporting. And so it's not a matter of if they're going to move their legacy systems to the cloud, it's a matter of when. And they have 3 major criteria as to when they move. One of them, in fact it's the number 1 issue, is functional parity. Software that we've been working with in your on-premise version for so many years, right? And we count on that functionality. Is that functionality also available in the cloud? In many instances, the answer is no. So some other planning systems, all they have is a cloud offering. They don't have an on-premise solution. Another example is Uber, one of our customers out of San Francisco, right? And so when they came to us, they were initially doing all their planning city by city, hour by hour, in a 52-tab spreadsheet. So the top tab was corporate consolidation, and then they had back then 51 cities, and each tab was a city. And so they recognized that if they're going to expand, the city managers, they needed to get out of this spreadsheet and sending it through up to San Francisco and doing the consolidation, then sending it back on an hourly basis. So they needed an enterprise system. But given where they were, even though they're a technology firm in San Francisco and Silicon Valley, they weren't ready to be in the cloud with their data yet. They wanted to start with the on-premise world. So they looked at vendors that could provide this kind of planning for them on an hourly basis. But the only option where they could start on-premise and move to the cloud over time, which is where they are moving to as we speak, is IBM's planning analytics solution. So because this parity is really important, and in fact, is it the next slide? Oops. I guess I have it on another slide, but the point is that we actually develop planning analytics in the cloud first, and then port back to on-premise. So, and I'll actually bring up that topic a little bit more later. So in the cloud, someone asked a question about our data centers. Today we're in 9 data centers around the world. So here we are between Sydney and Melbourne. And it's not on this map, but we have plans over the next 12 months to be in Singapore, in Mumbai, India, and Johannesburg, South Africa, as the demand for the product in those markets have a desire to go to the cloud. Now, one of the advantages of being having these data centers around the world, first of all, we, IBM, we own them. Whereas most other cloud solutions in this planning world, they rent from Amazon or they rent from Microsoft, etc. So thus our ability to really optimize our software in our web environment is, we've got that ability to be innate as part of our development. So, but what's interesting is that we have many customers in Europe and in North America that love to use these 2 data centers as their backup and disaster recovery. So again, we have the ability to do that. So for you here in Sydney, let's use your production system in Sydney, no problem. But maybe you want your DR in another part of the geography of the world. Which some companies, IT organizations, and from a security standpoint, they want to be in an earthquake-free, a tsunami-free, a hurricane-free part of the geography that's exact opposite of what they're in. And so we have that ability to port around. Now, for example, what's the latency between data centers? So one of our customers is Ancestry.com, and they're headquartered out of San Francisco. But they have a big office in Dublin, Ireland. And we actually did a performance test with them where the Dublin folks entered data, and how long did it take for that data to appear on the screen on the users in San Francisco. And we optimized it to be sub-second response time. So again, we've got data centers around the world, users around the world. End user performance and experience is super important to us. So, and this is where I was going to get to about our releasing. So currently we're in this version called Planning Analytics. And we started this, we moved to Planning Analytics from a naming 2.5 years ago. The legacy name, and Matt used it earlier, is called TM1. So TM1 has been in the market for 26 years. And the name TM1 comes from Table Manager version 1. So for those of us that are old enough to even pre-Excel and pre-Lotus, right? The spreadsheet view, we called them tables. And so we were managing tables, right? Getting out of this spreadsheet hell, right? It was version 1. And then the marketing team said, well, we want to be number 1 in the market, so it became TM1 is the name. So, but 2.5 years ago, we decided that we were going to go to the cloud and change from being this on-premise version of software to this world-class athlete being in the cloud and on-premise, and fundamentally changed. Again, all of our development is in the cloud first and then port down. We are now in iteration 36 of version 2. So to Matt's point, every 4 to 6 weeks, we're automatically issuing new functionality in the cloud. And then on a 6-month basis, we sort of package that stuff up and we make it available to our on-premise customers. Okay? So prior to Planning Analytics, 2.5 years ago, our TM1 customers had many different purpose-built end user experience ways to access TM1. Today, we now have one. It's called Workspace. So yesterday in Brisbane, one of our TM1 customers said, well, hey, what about Excel, right? Well, here we have what's called PAX, Planning Analytics for Excel. We absolutely can be in your favorite Excel-looking environment, but we render it inside this common workspace. And so this one common workspace allows all these different areas of brain, from being an architect to collaboration and workflow and building applications, et cetera, all one common interface, which was a big demand from our customers. And we still use the name TM1 in our engine. So this multi-dimensional data source in-memory application. In-memory is really important because, so when Matt was entering a value on his spreadsheet, it was almost instantaneously, right? Everything around it was calculating, right? So that's because of the in-memory capability versus some other solutions. If you enter a value, it actually has to go back down to the server, calculate, and go back. So and to us, this in-memory capability is really important to this performance and usability, from an end user experience standpoint. So ultimately, at the end of the day, world-class planning and analytics. So again, not just for finance, not just for sales or HR or marketing planning, but integrated planning across the entire organization. Okay, so some customer stats for you. As I mentioned, we have a little over 7,000 customers in our on-premise world. 67% of them to date have migrated from our TM1 version to Planning Analytics, so we're on a journey there. In the cloud world, right, we have actually close to 600 customers spanning over 60,000, actually we're a little closer to 70,000 users, active users, with our cloud version of our software. And 225 plus in the upper right-hand corner, there's 7,000 of these folks, right, that have moved from their on-premise environments to the cloud. So again, we've done that all within the past 2.5 years. So if you look at other cloud vendors when it comes to planning, many of them have been in the market for many years, 10 plus years. And we have the exact same, or actually more customers and users in the system. So, as a result of all that, what are the analysts, the industry analysts saying? So, Gartner, Forrester, Nucleus, the BARC group, right? All these different industry analysts kind of give you guys some insight about, you know, the niche and the capabilities, you know, of all these different softwares. So top 3 that we consistently rate to be either number 1 or top ranked. First of all, self-service, right? A big initiative with our development is we all have, you know, smartphones, iPads, iPhones. When you download an app from the App Store, do you need training? No. Right? Intuitively, you can tap, you can go to settings, you can kind of figure it out yourself in a couple minutes. That's the direction that we are going and driving towards because of the requirements coming from you all. And so, as Maddox, you know, said that ultimately we're getting into this natural language to be able to speak your question, and the system will automatically respond and give you the appropriate answers. So, speaking and typing, right? That natural language and understanding is super important, and we leverage our Watson artificial intelligence capabilities, right? That I brings to the table. Again, number 2, best in class. This is enterprise planning. I can't emphasize this enough. If you're looking for a point solution just to do some sales forecasting, and that's all you ever want to do, you can do it with this stuff, right? But the opportunity is to then be able to expand that, to have your sales be participating with your financial plan and your operational plan. Another one of our customers is Fiat Chrysler out of Brazil. And so they have a completely integrated demand planning manufacturing system with our software. So you've got all the salesmen and sales gals out in the car dealerships, and on a daily basis, they have their iPads or their laptops with their planning analytics view, and they enter on a daily basis what kind of car and how many cars they're going to sell for the upcoming week. And so that information on a daily basis then goes to the manufacturing plants in Brazil. And on a 24-hour basis, it tells the manufacturing plants what to build. And in order to be able to build them, it then impacts the supply chain and their suppliers. What parts are needed when and where in which manufacturing plant? And one of the efficiencies that it drives is this just-in-time inventory. Let the suppliers hold the inventory and bring it to us when we need it, versus trying to hold all this excess inventory that potentially could be obsolete within a couple months because of customer sentiment and demand for products. And then ultimately, as like in Lend-Lease, right, number 3, we're the only vendor, truly, about the landscape that has the same functionality on-premise as in the cloud as in the cloud and on-premise, vice versa. So, here's a BARC rating that came out a couple months ago. And we actually, there are 25 different KPIs that we are either top ranked or number one. And you guys will get a copy of this so you can see, the detail behind this. And so Matt, let's go to the next one because we've got actually a video, 2-minute video that I want to play that can really highlight some of the differentiators of where planning analytics sits in the market space. So we are definitely recognized by the industry, by our customers. So all this functionality that we've developed, how have we ultimately prioritized all that? In addition to guys like me being on a plane, 7 days a week. What's really important is that we anchor against performance. We talked about performance from an end user experience standpoint. Number 2 is ease of use and intuitiveness. And then functionality, making sure we've got the proper functionality that's important to our customers when it comes to this planning from an enterprise standpoint. And we accomplish this by really paying attention to, getting feedback from a number of different sources. From at the top, we have customer advisory boards, our business partners like Cortell, very actively understanding, functionality that's needed. The analysts we talked about, right, the Gartner groups and the BARCs of the world, all the way down to what we call jam sessions, and we actually have a portal where you can crowdsource, we get feedback and comments about specific functionality versus other functionality. And all that feeds into our product roadmap that we pay very close attention to, so that ultimately when it comes time for you guys to work with our software, whether it's in the cloud or on-premise, we're really confident that we've got the full breadth of functionality, stability, performance, ease of use that you guys all need. So with that, I'm going to bring Matt up, and I think we'll do some closing remarks. Thank you.